Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are really excited to get started. We are going to give it just another moment or two for people to start joining us, and then we'll go ahead and get kicked off. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are still seeing people trickle in, so we're giving it just another moment, but we'll get started very shortly. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Allison Weiss, and I'm the Associate Director of Corporate and Executive Education at the Brown School of Professional Studies. The mission at the Brown School of Professional Studies is to equip you with the tools, skills, and networks that you need to change the way the world works for good. And that is especially relevant to today's topic because, as we know, we tend to spend over 50% of our lives at work. And so the way that we lead and interact with one another changes profoundly the results that we receive and how well we feel in our bodies, in our mental space, in our emotional space. And so I'm really excited about offering this masterclass for free to give you the opportunity to start to think about and practice a specific proven skill set. And if you like what you see today, which I hope you do, I always learn something and I love getting to watch Erin masterfully be in action. We hope you will join us for our Leader as Coach program where you can continue to hone these skills. And I will talk a little bit more about what that program looks like and how you can be a part of it at the end. In addition, the School of Professional Studies does offer a whole portfolio of short courses, certificates, and master programs. So we are hopefully have something for any skill set that you are looking to learn in a flexible format that fits into your busy schedule. And today we're going to talk about how to lead through change. And I think that this is a topic that is more relevant now than it has ever been. I think most of us heard the word unprecedented more in the last 3 years than we have ever heard in our lives, but it remains true. According to research, 70% of workers report being disengaged at work, and that is due to a mixture of information overload, accelerating disruption, and changing work environments. Do we return to work? Do we not? Do we have a hybrid schedule? All of this uncertainty. And on the flip side, though leaders have a disproportionate impact on how workers feel, how stable they feel, and how prepared they feel to enact these changes, leaders themselves feel underprepared. According to a study from Forbes, about 95% of managers say that they wish they had more training on skills like change management. And coaching is a proven approach to help manage change in a way that is effective and equitable. So it feels good and it produces good results. And so that's why we are so excited to both talk about and demonstrate what a coach-like approach can look like in today's session. And so I'm going to introduce and hand this over to our two incredible leaders for this session. And I also want to encourage all of you to be participants in this as well. So we are going to ask you to help participate in this in two different ways. Number one is if you have a question throughout, and the question can be about change management or about coaching or about the Leader as Coach program, please put that in the bottom bar in the Q&A tab and type in and enter your question whenever you have it. You don't have to wait until the end. Secondly, Erin is going to invite you to participate in some of these demos by through the chat. And that is also in the bottom bar, but it is the chat button. And she will cue you when it is your time to do that. So those are the two ways we'd love for you to participate. And so with that, I'm going to turn things over. We have two incredible people on the call today. Erin Hutchins is the co-founder of ACT Leadership. And ACT Leadership is our partner in our Leader as Coach program and all of our coaching programs that we run. ACT Leadership is absolutely incredible. They have some of the best content I have ever gotten to experience. I got to go through the Leader as Coach program personally, and they're very dedicated to experiential learning, which I think is quite unique. And Erin is also an executive coach, which you will see in action in just a moment. And in addition, we are very grateful that Catherine Zabriskie has joined us. She is a senior director of digital learning and design at Brown University and an alum of one of our coaching programs. And she has generously offered to be a coachee in today's demo. So with that, I'll hand things over to you, Erin.
Thank you, Allison, and welcome everyone. I'm glad you're able to join us today. And again, thank you, Allison, for that introduction. And we thank Catherine for being able to join us today. And we will circle back to Catherine soon because she's going to be included in a demonstration of the skills that we teach in the program. And I'm just going to change my view so I can see you all. Okay, I can see, here we go. All right, so as Allison mentioned, I'm Erin Hutchins. I am one of the co-founders of ACT Leadership. My husband, Michael Hutchins, is the other co-founder of ACT Leadership, and we're both former consultants. So a lot of our career, we spent time as change management consultants, learning how to fix problems for clients and being rewarded to do so. And many, many years ago, we both found coaching. And at the time, we were looking for a sustainable approach to change and working with people in a way that where people felt seen and heard and valued, and an approach that, quite frankly, was humanistic. And so when we were both exposed to it, we felt compelled and called to do something with it. And here we are today. So we started ACT, which stands for Awareness, Choice, Transformation. And ultimately, that's our goal, is how do we help people increase their level of awareness? So not only people, but teams and organizations heighten their level of awareness so they can be at greater choice. So that's the C. So they can be at greater choice around their impact, around how they're showing up as leaders or as teams, or how they learn how to take responsibility for what they have created. We are based out of the Washington, D.C. area, and we come to Brown often. So we really enjoy our partnership with the Brown School of Professional Studies. We have many different programs with them. And today, as Allison mentioned, we're here to talk to you about the Leader as Coach program. So Allison started in this webinar giving you some context around our why. What are some of the pinpoint, like the pain points out there for leaders and managers around change? And how does that manifest in organizations? What issues, challenges that come up around that? And so we got really curious about that. Like, why aren't people engaged at work? Like, why do they not want to show up for meetings? Or why are they not as effective as they want to be? And we learned a lot. We listened a lot to our clients and the challenges that they were facing. And we learned that mostly people felt that they weren't seen and heard, or being met in a way where they felt valued, or being able to utilize their expertise or skills that they had to offer. Yeah. So it created that sense of disengage because it's easier than sometimes speaking up or being able to work through what the actual challenge or issue is. And so, as we know, in organizations and on teams, we face change every single day. There's something new that arises. We've just went through a pandemic. There's many different things that can arise in our environment. And so the purpose of this masterclass is to demonstrate how can we respond to change as it's incoming. How do we relate to it in a way that feels productive, where we feel effective, where we're ultimately helping others through it as well in that manner? Yeah. The program is really contextualized in neuroscience, adult development theories, and we use a lot of work from Bob Kegan's work around looking at how we develop through childhood, adolescence, and into adulthood, and what happens to the brain and to our nervous system even as we develop. And often we fall into a reactive place. So when there's change or there's an incoming threat, we can perceive it and experience it as urgency or a need to react quickly to something. mostly because we're very hard focused on helping and serving others and getting results and getting to fixing a problem or a solution. And culturally, we're very hardwired up that way. Yeah, because we know that we value being able to get results and work towards the desired change. And this program, we're looking at how do we slow down to then consciously choose how we react and respond to the incoming stimuli or the change or to our environmental factors, so then we can be in control around our response. And then ultimately help and engage with others so they are as well, which ultimately leads to greater effectiveness and productivity and being able to be in healthy, good relationships and also get the desired results in a way that is sustainable. Okay, so that's a little bit of context around our why we created this program. There's a lot of different, it's like we use the word coaching. It's like people are like, what do you mean by coach? I'm a soccer coach, or I coach my kids' baseball team, or what does that mean? And in the way that we're defining coaching in this context is partnering with another person, whether that's a direct report, somebody at work, or somebody in your life, to help them ultimately do their own critical thinking and process in a way to help them find their own solutions. So ultimately, you're there as a partner to help them do their own critical thinking and processing so the light bulb goes off in their head, therefore creating more neural pathways, more connections, so they ultimately own the answer or the solution. So that's how we're defining coaching in this context. Leader as coach is equipping you with additional skills and concepts as a leader to help you navigate change and help you navigate through working with people to ultimately bring out their best. So that's what we're going to attempt to demonstrate a little bit today, so you can see a demo of what we mean, because I know it's one thing just to hear that, and then a lot of times it's like, well, how do you do that? Or maybe I'm already doing that, or maybe I already think I'm doing that. So we're going to give an example. And so at this point, I'd like to introduce and welcome Catherine.
Thank you.
So welcome. Catherine, would you
Thank
just
you.
like to say a little bit about yourself before we start?
Sure. Thank you, Erin. So I'm Catherine Zabriskie. I've worked at Brown University for a very long time, and I've led a team in one fashion or another for a long time at Brown of professionals who support faculty using digital tools for teaching and learning. So our area has evolved over the years, and even more so over the last couple of years after the pandemic. So that's been my role at Brown, and I am a alum of this program, and I very much have applied what I've learned to taking a more coach-like role in as a leader. But I continue to try to remind myself of some of what I learned, and then sometimes struggle with how best to navigate and move forward. So I was very happy to be invited to be a coach for this session today.
Thank you. So here's what we're going to do. Catherine is going to present a real challenge or something that's going on in her work life or personal life. And we're going to look at how would we as leaders or as people address that? So just imagine, for example, that Catherine was a direct report or somebody that you were working with, and she came to you with a challenge. And the idea is, how do we help Catherine navigate this in a way that's going to ultimately serve her? So you're going to see a little bit of two different conversations. We're going to start with a way of like, how would you, and I would like to ask all of you, I'm going to ask you to pop in the chat box. I'm going to ask you, what would you say to Catherine? How would you respond to this without knowing anything about coaching? Or like, what advice would you have for her? What solution could you offer in order to help her? So we're not looking for the right answer or for you to have figured out this. We're just looking for sort of that initial jerk reaction around how would you react to what she is saying. Okay. So I'll ask you in a minute to pop that in the chat. So as a reminder, if you're joining us, Catherine's going to be giving us a real topic or a challenge, and then we're going to look at how do we work with what she's giving us. Okay. So Catherine, why don't you spend like 1 or 2 minutes just giving us sort of some context or what challenge you're coming with today, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so my topic for the day is that I've worked hard to build my current team, and we are in a pretty good place. We are a team that was built through various reorgs and mergers, and that had its rough spots. But I feel like I've gained the trust of the people that report to me, and I feel like we're in a good spot. Um, I we continue to have changes that are thrown at us, decisions made by upper administration, by the work environment. Um, I think Allison mentioned that we are still getting used to our new return to work decisions. We have pretty remote, flexible options, but there's still some decisions that are becoming more concrete that I think people are a little bit anxious about. And I I feel like I'm in a good space with my team, but I want to maintain that. And I'm aware that there'll continue to be more decisions that are made from above. And I often kind of am as a director, I feel like some of my job is to absorb some of the decisions and protect my individual contributors from all the details, but they also need to know what's going on so that they're a part of the process. And I was made aware of that this summer about because I have uh, kind of a personal experience that aligns with this. I have twin boys, my last kids that are went off to college this fall, and I was so much anticipating this significant change in my home life. I spent the whole last year and all this summer anxious about this big change, and now that the change has happened, I'm finding it to be kind of okay. It's not as traumatic as I expected it to be, and so I that kind of reminded me that I don't know if I'm doing a good job at work in giving enough space for the people in my team to process changes and decisions that are made that are much more beyond them. So I'm kind of checking in on that. That's my topic.
Thank you. So for those that are present live here, take a moment and whatever your sort of your initial reaction around how, like imagine if Catherine came into your office and said that, and she was somebody that you worked with, how would you respond? So just go with your sort of initial jerk reaction around what that might be, and go ahead and pop that in the chat. Again, there's no wrong answer here. We're just wanting to demonstrate something. Okay, so what advice would you have for her? What solutions? What might be helpful for her? We'll give everybody a minute to think about that and then pop that in the chat. And I'll start using some of your responses to respond to Catherine. So I'll start using, thank you, Allison. I'll start using Allison. So have you, Catherine, asked your team how they feel about the change? Have you done that already?
Yes. Yes.
And what happened? Like when you
It's
did.
actually if I think of maybe just even the specific example of having our return to work decisions be more solidified, I feel like when you ask people how they're feeling about that, they go back to the very beginning of, well, I could work fully remote, or I don't really understand why, like how are the logistics of when we're gonna return? They kind of reevaluate the whole problem in a way that, again, like decisions are made that are bigger than us. That it's not, the question isn't like, what do you think of this decision? It's how are you feeling about it? How might we navigate it? How might I make it better for you? But we quickly get into problem solving or frustration or concern about things that haven't even happened yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you tried, like planning time or specific time to maybe talk about this as a group or as a team? And like, have you tried to dedicate specific time for that?
We've spent some time in team meetings where we do kind of an activity that we call a silent discussion, where we have a Google Doc and everyone can put all their questions and concerns. And then I try to follow that up with one-to-one conversations, so people that may feel more comfortable talking. But I think the thing I struggle with sometimes is the decisions have been made, and I know that giving them space to like verbalize all the concerns, it could be helpful for them, because that's what kind of I experienced myself with this change at home. But I still find myself sometimes either, I'll just be honest, I'd rather being impatient, like, well, the decision's been made, so can we not just live with it and move on, which isn't necessarily helpful, or trying to solve the problem. Like, well, if you're worried about the quiet in the work environment, then maybe we could do this, or maybe we could do that. And then also just trying to listen, but that one feels the least satisfying for me, but I'm reminded that maybe that is the best for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know for me, when I've been in this situation before, I try to overly communicate what it is that I'm looking for, just to be able to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So just over communication around constantly reminders around, here's what we're trying to achieve and how we can work together.
Mhm.
But I'm seeing that maybe you've tried some of that, or you've been able, you've been communicating with that in a certain way. Um, what have you done that has worked for you, or has it, like, what else have you done or tried?
I think when I do find when I'm in one-to-one conversations and I ask more questions, there's usually something I hadn't thought of. So I think that that always is the best, when I can just give space to asking questions. Um, I am a problem solver, as you pointed out. I guess we all are by nature. So I think that the challenge for me is truly asking a question and just giving space for them to provide whatever the answers are. So that's, I think, the thing that I continue to struggle with, finding a balance between actually solving problems when I should, because I'm their supervisor or the director, to then just giving space for them to share problems that there may not actually be a solution to.
Mhm.
Because again, it's a decision that someone else has made, and there may not really be a solution other than moving forward in some way that's going to work for the best of us as well as it can for us.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we're just going to pause there. And I saw there was another question in the chat box, but I'm going to use that in the next demo. So that was one demonstration of having a sort of a way to interact with Catherine. She's giving, she's come to us with a challenge or a problem. I'm very much coming from a place of, have you tried this? What worked? What didn't work? And giving her some advice, or from my own experience, here's what I've done. Okay, so that's the first component. Now I'm going to try to interact with her in a different way. And I'd like for those that are observing, look at, like, what's happening. What do you notice on Catherine's end, or where is my focus on when I'm interacting with Catherine? Yeah, so maybe look at, what are you noticing, what might be different from how I just interacted with her? Okay, so Catherine, we're going to almost like rewind and start from the
Yeah.
beginning. So thank you for presenting your challenge to us today, and letting us play with you in this context. How is this impacting you right now?
I think it's making me second guess how I'm interacting with my team. So I had a personal experience that's made me kind of have that, like, remember, like, wait a second, like, people need space for things. And are you doing a good job of that? Are you not doing a good job of that? So it's making me, and even though I feel like my team, we're in a pretty good spot right now, I'm not getting signals from them, but it is making me second guess. Like, how am I doing well with this part of it that I know is so important?
Hmm. And when you second guess yourself, how does that impact your team, or you as a leader?
Um, I think it kind of gets in the way a little bit. I think it gets in the way um, of me. I think sometimes as a leader, it's always, I think I'm always kind of trying to find that balance between oversharing or not sharing enough. And sometimes I think as a leader, we need to reassure our folks that things will be okay. Um, and I do believe that things will be okay. Like, these are details that we're working out, but overall things will be okay. So I think when I start second guessing about, have I checked in? Have I given them space? Are they feeling comfortable talking? Do we need to dedicate some more time in a team meeting? I think it's distracting, and I might not be as, like, confident or um, yeah, I guess as confident or steady state as might serve them.
Yeah. How would you, in an ideal world, how would you like to engage with them in this
I would,
context around frequency?
yeah, I think as changes come our way, I would like them I absolutely would like them to talk to me. Sometimes I think over the years, people have talked to each other and then they haven't talked to me. And then I felt kind of like, well, if you talk to me, then maybe I'd know more what was going on. So I would absolutely like to have a situation where I feel like they are sharing with me, whether their concerns or their frustrations or ideas, even if we can't necessarily change the change that's happening. But I think ideally I would be in conversation individually, and I'm less probably concerned in like me like group conversations. I think my priority would be my one-to-one conversations.
Yeah. And what's important to you about that one-on-one time?
I think having authentic connections one thing that I like very much as a supervisor is having gotten to know the people that report to me, and kind of know what they're excited about and what they're not excited about. I very much value that. So I think the being able to have authentic connections and figuring out how much I need to bring to the table so they feel it's reciprocal.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard you say that a couple times now, like around what, like almost like trying to decipher what your role is around how much you should give away or say versus not. Um, what is it like to be in that sort of space of not knowing how to show up that way?
Um, I think it's just a little bit distracting. It's like always that voice in your head. It's like, um, and maybe it makes me feel like I'm not being authentic. I don't think it's that I'm not authentic. I think I'm just not, I think I'm being so mindful that
Yeah.
then sometimes it feels like I'm not as present.
Yeah. So take a moment now. I'm going to pause this. And for those that are listening, where would you go with this? Yeah. It's like, what are we actually really talking about here? So notice maybe if there's any change that you see in Catherine or how she's, what insight she might be having. So just notice where you would take this in the conversation. Like, for example, she was a direct report or you're working with her, where would you take this to help her? So, Catherine, taking a minute now, we've just paused. How do you want to be in relationship to your own um, process around? It's almost like, how do you want to relate to yourself in this context and as a leader?
Um, I mean, I think I would like it to be more, I mean, easier, I guess. I guess I would like it to come a little bit more easily to find that sweet spot, the balance between how much I share, how much I bring of myself to the conversation, versus how much, because I also do feel like it's oftentimes in one-to-one conversations, it's really not about me, it's about them,
Yeah,
giving people the spot to have it about them. But knowing that by sharing some of me or my perspective or my knowledge of what I know is helpful.
yeah.
So
So,
I think I'd like it to be a little easier to navigate that.
yeah, and it sounds like there's a belief there or a value around like if I share more of myself, that's ultimately could be helping them. Or if I show more of myself, I could be helping somebody on my team.
Yes,
And it sounds like there is a value there that's maybe wanting to be expressed.
I think so.
So what would it look like, or what would you need to set aside in order to maybe more fully express that value that you have around being able to share your whole self with people or whatever it is that you
Um,
share?
maybe I need to put aside the worry that they aren't comfortable sharing back. So if I'm oversharing my perspective or the details and it's too much, then I should have confidence that they can um, redirect the conversation in a way that serves them. So maybe it's back to coaching, like this idea of feeling confident that they know what works for them and that they can also share that with me, that I've built a relationship so that they can they can articulate what they need from me as I'm experimenting with what I can give to them.
Yeah, yeah. And how does that? I noticed it. What's happening now, or what insight might you be having, or what's happening on your end right now as you talk about that?
That maybe it's not only about me, it's also having confidence in them. Like I'm trying to have confidence in finding the sweet spot, sharing but not oversharing, asking questions and listening. But they also it's a two-way conversation. Like they're in the room too, so it's not all about me, it's also about them, and having confidence that they too are navigating how much they want to share and what questions they want to ask.
Yeah. So it sounds like maybe there's a little bit, we're going to end right now on this demo, but it sounds like maybe there's an opportunity for a mindset shift in how you're interacting with them around trusting that they'll come to you
Mm-hmm.
if if they need to,
Mm-hmm. Or they'll speak up.
or they'll speak up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. We're going to pause here for the purposes of this demo today, and then we might just ask you as we debrief. We're going to spend a few minutes just debriefing this, and there might be some questions from people observing.
Yes.
Thank you. So we're ending this demo right now, and I think maybe if you wouldn't mind, if you were observing this, maybe popping in the chat box, what did you notice, if any, the differences between the first approach and the second? How was I interacting with Catherine in the second conversation? Just wait for any feedback from observers. Seeing here, coach approach was the second approach. You were curious and not giving advice. In the second conversation, it felt more about self-reflection and thinking about the ideal world. Yeah. So this was a really, you kept Catherine in the driver's seat in the second conversation. Why does this matter to you? What would feel right? Focus was on, someone says focus was on Catherine. Yes. So and I love how you said focus was, Jennifer, you said focus was on Catherine. So it's so easy to get trapped into solving or fixing it for somebody by giving advice or solutions or sharing our own experience. And that's not wrong to do, but sometimes it might not be useful to the other person because they may have already tried it. They may not even be wanting advice. And so if we have a hard focus on fixing, we might actually not be really helping the other person. We just don't know. But as a coach like leader, what we're looking to do is we're looking to be curious around how is Catherine relating to her challenge or her topic or her situation? Because that's the only element that she's going to be able to control is her relationship to it, how she perceives it, how she views it, how she values it, and looking at how is she relating to it. So going back to the theme of change, it's like when we feel threatened or there's big changes that are happening or even small changes, we go into reaction mode quickly. It's our human tendency to do that. And you think about it, if you have 20 people on a team and there's a big change going on, our first instinct is to react. Yeah. And so to really be able to appreciate and understand that reaction, then look at how do we meet people in a different way so they can understand their reaction and then get to what is this really about? So for Catherine, she started internalizing her worry or, am I saying too much? How do I relate to them? Am I giving them enough space? Which turned into some worry. And now she's thinking about this. And then really spending time talking to her to discover like, oh, maybe it's okay for me to share more of myself. And maybe I can trust that my team members will tell me if it's too much. So getting her to a point of being able to hold on to a value or perspective that's going to serve her as a leader and ultimately help serve her team. But because we get into reactionary mode so quickly, it can turn into what we call self-limiting beliefs or assumptions that we create that sort of help us create a story to sort of stay in the problem without realizing that we're in the problem. So, and what we're doing is ultimately taking ourselves out, working with somebody to help them become more objective to how they're seeing it or viewing it or how they're relating to it. So then they can be at greater choice around how they want to show up in the situation. So from I love showing this because from a neuroscience perspective, what is actually like, if you were to imagine that like your fist, if you want to do this with me, like if you imagine like your fist is your brain, and this part of your knuckles here is your prefrontal cortex. It's like that's what makes us unique from animals, is we have a prefrontal cortex. It helps us, allows us to be at choice, whereas animals react purely. So what happens when there's incoming change or there's a threat, our amygdala, our back part of the brain, our emotional part of the brain, we get hijacked, and we can flood into like a quick emotional reaction or response. And most of the time through the research, we discover that we're not aware that we're in this reactionary mode. And we start operating from a reactionary mode, making decisions from a reactionary mode, and not conscious about the impact that reactionary mode is having on our decisions or people we work with. So what coach-like leaders do is be able to meet somebody where they are in a different way, to understand how the person is relating to their challenge, to help get the prefrontal cortex, this part of the brain, back online, to be present so we can be at greater choice around how we're relating and responding to that change or to the environmental factors of what is going on. Yeah. And so we saw this example in Catherine, and it's really an easy implementation to switch our mind, change our mindset when we realize that we have such a hard focus on solving or fixing the problem versus being able to focus, as Jennifer said, focus on the person and how they are relating to it, and how can we help them come up with a solution that they're going to own. And I'd just like to, before we move on, Catherine, I'd just like to ask for any feedback on your part. Like, what was that experience like for you? I know the first conversation was short, but what was experience like in the demos?
I didn't even realize it that in the first conversation, I was starting to feel almost a little like not frustrated, but like I was like, yeah, I guess I've done that and I've done that. And I felt much more interested in the second approach, because it's, as you said, like it made me realize like it's not about like what things have I done and were they successful, but it's more about what do I want, how do I imagine, and what do I own of it. It just felt better to be talking in that way, even though it may be counterintuitive to some of us that are problem solvers. Like, you think that if you were offering someone some solutions, they'd be like, oh, thank you for that idea. But it didn't feel like that to me. It felt, I enjoyed the second conversation much more because I could reflect in my own experience, and it just felt much more open, whereas the first conversation felt kind of closed.
Yeah, and even I felt myself in that, if I was in sort of my problem solver fixing
Yeah.
mindset, like here's a person who's very intelligent and creative, and she's coming to me asking me for help, and I want to help her. But a lot of times we just don't know the answers or the solutions. So we end up projecting them outwards to say, have you tried this? Or here's what's helped work for me in the past, because we don't know how to respond to somebody. Yeah. So think about like maybe times in your life where someone has come to you at work who's going through change or has a challenge, and you haven't known how to respond. So you offer what you know in
Mm.
your own world or experience. You offer what you can. But by doing that, we take on so much of responsibility of their own problem.
Mhm.
It's like, it's not for us to fix that for them. And so in a coaching mindset, you're learning to, oh, it sounds like, or discover, here's the impact. What's the impact this is having on you? And how can I learn to ask questions or listen in a way and ask questions that are going to have you have a deeper understanding of what is going on for you? So then you can therefore problem solve yourself. And it takes the burden of responsibility off of me as a leader or as a person or as a manager to have to do that for someone. Yeah. So then therefore it frees me up to just say, like, Catherine, how is this impacting you? What would it what's your deal outcome here? What would it look like for you to engage in a way that felt meaningful to you? Yeah. So I'm helping as a partner or as a leader or as a
Mhm.
coach to help her get to ultimately her own solution so she can own that. So hopefully that helps make some distinction here around how we respond and react to change. And we go much more further into this in the program. Catherine, I'd like to thank you for your time today and being open and willing to put yourself out there for the service of demonstrating these concepts to folks who are interested in learning more. So thank you so much for taking the time to help us today.
And thank you for the coaching session.
You're welcome. Okay, so what I'd like to do at this point is circle back with Allison and just, I guess we could check in to see what questions we have right now. And then Allison also will go over logistics, how we offer these programs, what that looks like. So Allison, I'm going to hand it over to you for a little bit.
Thank you so much. And thank you again, Catherine, for your willingness to be a part of this. And we'll let you go now, Catherine. I know you have a next meeting to go to. But Erin, I just loved what you said about how Coach Approach gives people the space to make choices. I thought that was really beautiful. It was like such a big aha moment for me. And so I just want to thank you for all of the ways in which you are so good at bringing the meaning and that perspective to these skill sets. And that's what makes learning this skill in this format something that lasts for the long term. And I think that's something that's really unique about this program. As an alum of this program, I have felt like I've been able to keep the lessons I learned and keep practicing them because of that layer of debriefing and kind of pulling back the curtain that you and your team do so well. So thank you for that. And with that, I'm going to share my screen and talk a little bit about the program. And right before I do, I just want to encourage all of you again, if you have questions about coaching, change management, or our Leaders Coach program, please click on the Q&A button in the bottom bar and type and submit your questions there. We want this session to be useful for you. So if you were as excited as I was and had all of these big aha moments, and you would like the opportunity and the structure and the guidance to put what you saw today into practice, to be a stronger leader through change and a stronger leader in terms of coming to that person and co-developing a solution, then we would love for you to be part of our Leader as Coach program. Oops, apologies. Let me try that again. It's funny how technology is always at its hardest right when you need it to really work. Okay. And so I think this demonstration did a good job of proving why a coach-like approach is so powerful. And so I'll go through these slides relatively quickly. But as we mentioned at the beginning of today's session, we are seeing a higher level of leadership challenges than we ever have. Information overload, an increasing demand for results very quickly, a changing workforce population, and 70% of US workers reporting not feeling engaged at work. However, coaching has been proven to have really intentional benefits on two different levels. The first level is the benefit that it will give to you as an individual coach-like leader. It will give you the opportunity to have a broader perspective because, as Erin said so well, if you are giving advice, you can only draw from what you know, versus if you are taking a more coach-like approach, you expand your resources by tapping into both what you know and what they know. It also gives you the opportunity to approach problems with a higher level of emotional intelligence, which will lead to better impact and better choices. In addition to the benefits that it has on you as an individual leader, a coach-like approach has been proven to have a positive impact on teams and organizations as well. It gives you a better ability to balance relationships and results, build trusting relationships, retain employees, which we know that matters more now than ever in the face of the Great Recession, and to increase your level of engagement at work. And my favorite part of this slide that kind of floors me every time I read it is that according to PwC, the mean ROI of executive coaching is 7 times the initial investment, which that is a lot higher than we see for a lot of other leadership approaches. So hopefully now you have seen the stats and you have seen the impact firsthand, and you see how powerful a coach-like approach can be. And if that is you and you're excited and you'd like to be a part of this, we would love for you to join our Leader as Coach program. We are offering Leader as Coach in 2 different formats, and I think we'll end up announcing additional dates soon, so be on the lookout on our website. Our fall session actually only has about 2 slots left, so if you are interested in joining us in person, I would encourage you to submit your enrollment form today because we only have a few slots left. That would be 3 full days in person on the Providence campus. So this is kind of an intensive version where you take fewer days off of work, which is super nice, and you get to be in conversation and in community with your full cohort for 3 full days. If that doesn't work for you, if you are not able to take that time off of work or time to travel, we also offer an online version of this program. And for that program, you would meet every Tuesday evening from 5 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time over, I believe it's 6 weeks. It says 5 weeks on here, but I think that's a typo. And I have the detailed schedule, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So these are your 2 different options for how you can take this program. The topics that we'll cover throughout both of the formats are the same. We cover the same 6 topics. They are coaching foundations, levels of listening and powerful questioning, coaching skills, coaching with values, purpose, and resilience, reactive to creative, which that's what a lot of what today's session was focused on, is how to move beyond, that fight or flight response of feeling like you have to respond to everything right now and move into a more intentional strategic approach. And then lastly, sustainment, application, and integration. If you choose to join us for our in-person program in the fall, the schedule looks like this. It is the end of the week, so it's a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8:30 to 4 p.m. each day, except for the last day, which ends a little bit earlier. If you choose to join us for the spring, then it is these 6 sessions, 2 hours each. Oh, sorry, I misspoke before. It's from 5 to 7 p.m., not 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Zoom. So it would be fully virtual and something that would be a little bit more snack size. You can kind of take it and fit it into your kind of existing schedule already. At the end of the program, either format, these are the program outcomes. You'll develop multidimensional leadership skills. You'll have the ability to reframe limiting mindsets. You'll have the ability to apply different coaching skills to your work contexts and to engage in more meaningful interactions with your coworkers. And I have also found it to apply to my personal life as well. You'll create authentic, real relationships focused on performance effectiveness. You'll have the ability to empower your team, motivate them, and guide them to reach their full potential while still keeping an eye on results. And you'll be able to navigate through uncertainty and complexity with more ease and clarity, which you kind of got to see and experience firsthand today. So I hope that you would like to join us. We'd love for you to be a part of it. And with that, I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll go into answering questions. The first question is, will this be offered in person again soonish? Good question. We're still playing around with 2024 dates. This was a pilot of offering it in person, not the program, but offering it in person. And we got much more demand than we expected to. So originally our plan was to only offer it in person once a year in the fall. And so that's what's currently scheduled. But I would encourage you to keep an eye on the website because I think we will likely add another sooner in-person option as well. The next question, similar. So if I'm going to look into doing this program in fall 2024, when should I be on the lookout for it? So the first thing I would say is that if you have not already signed up for the e-list, which you may have, that may be how you got here in the first place, but I would encourage you to do that. And you can do that by going to professional.brown.edu and navigating to the Leaders Coach page and click on the Inquire or Learn More button. And then you can sign up to be on our emails. Every time we open a new cohort, we'll send a standalone email announcing the new cohort and the dates. And so that will be how you'll be the first to know about those dates. And the cohorts fill on a first come, first basis. And each time it goes a little differently. The timeline's a little different. So I would say that to be really safe, I would encourage you to apply at least a month in advance. And we do also offer early bird discounts. So that might be an incentive for you as well to apply to the program a little bit early. Another question I see is around workload. And so maybe Erin, I'll ask you to answer this. What will the workload in terms of homework and assignments and readings be for both the in-person session and the online session? What will that look like?
Yep. So great question. So for online, we do give you there is homework in between each of the sessions, but the sessions are 6 weeks, so it's consecutive each 6 weeks, each week. But there's homework, for example, like reading, journaling. We ask you to watch some videos or some demos to deepen your learning of what you practiced in the classroom. We also ask you to practice with people back at work. So we want to know how's it going by applying what you've learned in the classroom back in your environment. So a lot of what you're learning is, as Allison mentioned, the idea is to integrate it into your being. And so instead of it's like, how do I go do this thing that I learned? It's like the idea is you start to see people differently, interact with them in a different way, where ultimately becomes more organic and natural around how you're interacting. And so we want you to take that and practice it. Practice approaching people in a different way back in your environment. So there's some practice there. For the 3 consecutive day program, we ask you, there is some homework on each evening on day 1 and day 2 on the evenings, where we ask you to watch some videos in preparation for the next day. And if you're able to have a coach-like conversation with somebody or somebody in your personal life that evening of day 2, if possible. And then there's a follow-up call as well, around following up with you 30 days to understand how's it going and where are you applying these skills, where are you getting stuck? And so we're there to also support you.
Thank you. That's great. And I think that's also one of the best benefits to the program that I found was the opportunity and the structure that you provide to learn from one another and to put everything that you learn into practice right away. You know, there was never a super long lecture or anything like that. You would kind of go into practice groups right away and put in what you learned into practice. And it gives you the opportunity to meet people from different industries and different fields. And we have heard of some small groups who have hit it off so much that they've continued to meet long after the program has ended, which is really inspirational to hear.
I think just building on your last point, I know there's another question, but what I want to say about that is that everybody comes in the program with a problem-solving, solution-giving approach, because again, that's how we're wired up. And it's okay, because what we're doing initially is helping you sort of unlearn some of those patterns of how we react. And we have to recognize that we're responding that way. So it takes a little bit of time to sort of unlearn the patterns and be able to listen differently and to learn how to ask questions. And through the practice and the application, it does become easier. The more you do it, it's more integrated in.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like muscle memory. You build it and then you keep it.
For sure.
The next question is, what is the early bird window generally? We typically have 2 rounds of early birds. The first one is typically about 2 months out, and then the second one is typically about a month out. So those are the 2 windows I'd encourage you to look for. So I don't see any other questions. And so I'll give it just like one more moment in case anyone is typing. But if not, we'll close it here. So I want to thank you so much, Erin, for joining us today. And I want to thank you for how powerfully you consistently show instead of tell how powerful coaching can be. Because as you said at the very beginning, a lot of us, and I put myself in this category, think of the word coach in terms of just like a sports team. And a lot of us have not had the opportunity to see it in action and to see the results that it can really deliver. And using a more coach-like approach in my own leadership has been very personally transformational. And I'm excited that this group here has the opportunity to go on that journey and build that skill set with you to become more resilient, both personally and to help their teams be more resilient, more creative, and more inclusive because of this skill set that you and your team do such an incredible job of teaching. So thank you for demonstrating that today and for your leadership for the Leaders Coach program.
Thanks, Allison. Thank you for partnering with me. And we hope that we cross paths with you in the program. Come see us.
Yes. Thank you all so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.